It's no coincidence that central banks bought more gold in the last year than any other year in the last 55 years, or since 1967. This is a strong sign that the international monetary system is about to change in a big way. Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a quick minute, share some thoughts and ideas around what's happening in this global shift away from the dollar. And it has everything to do with what China has started and appears to be leading the way in doing. And it's about preparing the yuan and oil for the rest of the world to join suit with the creation of the PetroYuan. And we can't forget the important role that gold has in all this as well. So if you guys want to see more short, quick takes like this, definitely hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell notification so you'll always be informed when videos are put online. So simply put, big gold flows around the world can be a sign that something big is about to happen. And from what we're being told about all this gold being accumulated, those are just numbers that the governments are actually telling us. The real amount of gold bought could be much higher since governments aren't always clear about how much gold they have, which they see as a part of their own economic security. We are on the verge of a big change in the international monetary system that would have big effects, but few people are aware of what's happening and how important it is. China and the oil producers in the Middle East were the biggest buyers of gold in 2022, and this was no accident. Changes to the monetary system will be centered on these countries. China has been saving up as much gold as it can for many years, waiting for the right time to pull the rug out from the US dollar, and that time could be right about now. China's President Xi's recent historic trip to Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Cooperation Council, or the GCC, to start a new paradigm of all-dimensional energy cooperation is the key to understanding everything. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, the Oman, and the UAE are all part of the GCC. Together, they export more than 25% of the world's oil, of which China is the largest trade partner of the GCC. During Xi's visit, he made some important comments. He said that China will continue to buy a lot of crude oil from the GCC countries, increase its imports of liquefied natural gas, strengthen cooperation in upstream oil and gas development, engineering services, storage, transportation, and refining. And along with that, the use of the Shanghai Petroleum and National Gas Exchange as much as possible to settle oil and gas trades in the yuan. In March 2018, the Shanghai International Energy Exchange, or the INE, launched a crude oil's future contract that was paid for in Chinese yuan. This was a result of years of planning, and the INE yuan oil futures contract gives the global oil market, which has always been denominated by US dollars, a new price standard. By trading in the yuan, the contract is meant to increase the use of the Chinese currency in global trade and make less use of the dollar. It is important because it could shift the balance of power in the oil market away from the US and toward China. It could also make the Chinese yuan more important in international trade, but China knows that most oil producers don't want to store up a lot of yuan, so China made it clear that the crude futures contract is tied to the ability to turn yuan into physical gold through the gold exchanges in Shanghai and Hong Kong without touching China's official reserves. Two Chinese oil companies, PetroChina and Sinopec, buy a lot of crude futures, which makes the market more liquid. So oil producers can turn yuan into gold if they want to sell their oil in yuan. China has made a way for oil companies to get paid in gold instead of US dollars. And so this is a big step towards making the yuan an international currency away from the US dollar. The trend is clear. More and more countries are moving away from the US dollar and toward other currencies. China has been in the lead, and what has happened recently with the gold and oil is just a start. So those who get positioned properly ahead of this paradigm shift can make a fortune. So the question I ask you is, are you ready to get into this action? You can play the paper derivatives game if you're a sophisticated investor, but if you're an average Joe or Mike like me, you can just focus on staying ahead of the trend by keeping your cash flow steady amidst all this labor uncertainty and continue to add to your stack. And of course, this is not financial advice. This is just good old plain simple monetary literacy. Remember, watch what they do and not what they say. Continue to get your weight up. So remember, there's going to be a lot of activity in the next couple of weeks surrounding oil, gold, China, and yuan. Make sure you keep an eye on it. And if you don't, make sure you guys subscribe, plug in here. I'll do the best I can to keep you up to date. If you found any of this informative, please hit that thumbs up button, share this so more people can find out what's going on out here, because the clock is ticking and the role of the dollar is changing internationally.